senior pastor of First Baptist Church of Gary, Indiana.
Yes.
The first woman to be in this position in 107 years.
17.
One of only 2 black women pastors in Baptist churches in the state of Indiana.
Wow.
Yeah.
This
Wow,
this
that's
make our
awesome.
heart feel good.
Yes, it does.
We really love to uplift
That's
our
right.
women and celebrate them,
You're a
no matter
trailblazer.
what the walk is. And so we're just so honored to have you with us.
Absolutely.
Wow.
And just a blessing. And I don't want to put your age out there, but you are young.
Yeah.
And that's even, yes. And that's awesome because we don't age discriminate here. But it's awesome. I know I was looking a little bit at your background, and I know you are a native of Norfolk, Virginia.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes, I am an East Coast shorty.
Okay.
I've been in the Midwest. I've been here in Indiana since July 31st.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So what brought you to Indiana?
First Baptist Church.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
First Baptist. So my background is in nursing. My
Okay.
bachelor's is in nursing. My master's is in divinity. And so I received a call that First Baptist was looking for a pastor. And so I never thought I would end up in Gary or Indiana or the Midwest, but God really led me here. So it was by divine providence that I'm here.
And so I understand you applied over 30
Yeah.
churches.
Yeah, over 30 churches. So when I was finishing seminary, we were encouraged to apply, send our resume to different churches. And so I come from a background of pastors, and I felt a call from God that was the path for me as well. So I started to send my resume out, and I got about 30 no's. No's or no response or, thank you for applying, but we're looking for a man. And so I had just kind of made up in my mind that, I'll continue to do ministry with my dad and continue to be a nurse. And then out of the blue, somebody called me about First Baptist Church. And I almost did not apply because of the 30 no's.
Wow. So you come from a background of ministry. So
Yes.
your dad.
My dad, my grandfather, my grandmother, who's gone to be with the Lord, my uncle, many cousins, second cousins, great aunts, long line.
And so it's amazing, if I have this correct, over 90% of the members voted for you.
Yes.
How amazing.
That is unprecedented even for a man.
Yes.
Yeah. And what was so beautiful was a couple of things that I remember from that day was one of the oldest members who was 106 years old and hadn't been to the church in like over a year. She came out that day to vote for me.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's so awesome.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
She came to installation.
And she came to the installation as well. 106 years old. So there's no reason that anybody should stay home from church.
That's right.
But
Absolutely.
she came out. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you're a trailblazer. I mean, we don't take that lightly. As the first woman in 107 years, how do you think, I know you can only speak for your church, but because this is such a big, significant thing, how do you feel the men will receive you?
I've seen both reactions. Historically, people have been slow to allow women into these leadership roles. And so that is starting to change. So, as evidenced by me, right? That's starting to change, and you're starting to see more men be in support of women. I think the more people go to seminary, the more we just kind of evolve in our thinking about equality. A lot of younger men preachers are fully in support of women. And so I see that changing. At the same time, there are some who are still not okay with it. As recently as a few years ago, I would preach and people would get up and walk out. I've experienced that. And I really think that has uniquely equipped me to be able to come to a place like Indiana that is slow to allow women to be in these roles, I tell the members of my church all the time, I know I look nice and sweet and innocent, and I am, but I ain't no punk,
Right. Yeah.
And so I'm not easily intimidated by anybody. I know that God called me, and I don't really have to prove that to anybody, because the Lord will do that.
Yes, He will. It's a quote you said, "I recognize my role and assignment in opening doors for women."
Yeah. So one of the things, when I realized that I would be moving to Indiana, again, I know now this is a beautiful place, and I'm really glad to be a part of the Gary community. But to be honest with you, I didn't know a lot about Gary before coming. And so I was just kind of like, God, why? Why? But after coming here, I remember the first time I came to visit, and the Lord clearly showed me that because women don't have the leadership opportunities here, and it's not as common to see women pastors here, the Lord showed me that was one of the reasons why I had to come here. Because in Virginia, where I'm from, we still got a long way to go with women as well. However, it's not as uncommon as it is here. And so the Lord showed me that was a part of my role in coming here. I know that it's kind of slow in Gary as it relates to women in leadership roles. And so somebody's got to do it. So I'm ready.
Because of the hesitation and the challenge, how do you plan on bringing an understanding to the culture of the church? Again, we can only speak for this church, but the culture of the church, that women do belong in the church in a leadership role, such as yourself.
Well, obviously First Baptist knows that. But I think one of the things that I've learned is that you just keep showing up. You just keep showing up. Show up when they least expect you to. Show up when they try to intimidate you, and eventually you get used to me being there.
Yes.
Right. That's right.
You know what? I am so happy that you are mentally prepared, because that take you a long way. Because I too was able to make history, and I don't want to mix it up. And it was a struggle, and it was times I felt like by myself, and I had to fight. I felt by myself. I'm so glad that you are mentally prepared. It makes my heart feel so good, and I am so happy that God gave you grace with First Baptist, and that they made the best decision to bring you on. And I'm just praying that not only here, but you were just talked about in rooms that you're not even in.
Praise God.
So, and I know that would be. So my heart feels so good, because I was looking at the studies, and they said women make up 50 to 75% of black churches, but only hold 10% of leadership roles. Now it's like, wow.
And some of this, if women, you look at those statistics, if women stood up for other women, hello church, we could make a difference in some of these scenarios. One of the powerful things that happened the first time I walked into First Baptist was some of the older mothers of the church came to me and said, I've been praying for you since I saw your name. Before they saw my picture, before they met me, just the fact that I had made it that far, they were praying for me.
I know they're proud.
They are, and I feel it. I feel it so much.
Good.
Yeah, I do.
And you also hold a position in the National Baptist Convention as well.
I do. I am the Assistant Secretary of the National Baptist Convention, which means USA Incorporated, which means I am on the board of directors. And so our new president, Dr. Boise Kimber, who's been the president for a year now, he made a promise that if he became president, he would put women in positions, and he would put younger people in positions. And so I am one of the first few women to be on the board of directors of the National Baptist Convention. So there are a few of us.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That is awesome.
And can I just say this? And so as a result of that position, there may be some, and I'm using the word may, who may not have wanted to receive me when I came to Indiana, but because I have a national position,
It opened the door.
yeah,
It opened the doors. And you did. There's another quote you said. You had a couple of quotes that I liked. And you said, don't let any door open that's not supposed to open.
Yeah.
So apparently these doors just keep opening for you. They're supposed to open.
And the one I love, the quote that you did for Kamala Harris, Vice President Kamala Harris. I may be the first, but I won't be the last.
Yeah.
And I think that is awesome because it feels good when people are positioned, but they are open to other people being in position.
Yes.
And it's not selfish, right? Because we have to rally each other on and be happy for one another. You know, we have a call if you don't mind.
Sure.
Okay.
Hi. Go ahead. Go ahead. Hi, caller. Good evening.
Good evening, ladies. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Fine. I wanted to say that I had the privilege of spending the weekend with the Gunn family. I went to the banquet on Friday. I went to the. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and I went to the installation on Saturday and heard a dynamic service from her father, and her grandfather gave her some inspirational talk, and she didn't tell you, but he's 98 years old, and he gave her an inspirational talk as to how she'd conduct herself as a minister. And then I came back on Sunday and heard another dynamic service from her uncle. They are truly a praying, preaching family. And I think First Baptist had did themselves a justice by putting her in that position.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
And of course, she's a Delta. She's my Delta sister.
Hey, Sarah.
Awesome.
But I truly, and I'm going to come back on Women's Day. I have a home church, but I will be back on Women's Day in November 9th to hear, I'm sure, another dynamic service.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Thank you.
That is
You're more than
awesome.
welcome. Bye-bye.
And you also attended an HBCU, Hampton, right?
Two of them, two HBCUs.
Okay.
Yes, the Hampton University.
Not to be confused with the other H.
The other HU. You got it. You got it. You got it. The Holy Ghost is speaking. Yes, the other HU. Yes. I'm a graduate of Hampton University and also Virginia Union University.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Jacinda, also share your passion of being a nurse.
Being a nurse.
Yes.
Yes. Service oriented.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So are you still going, well, obviously this is going to be full time. Is this going to be full time for
Yes.
you? Okay. All right. So do you feel like nursing kind of led you into the role, or were you just happily going along taking care of patients and then God just was like, no? How did that
So I was taking care of patients, and I was on a trajectory of leadership in healthcare, which is what I wanted to do. Even though in the back of my heart, spirit, and mind, I knew that God wanted me to do more. And so I remember one day I was at work. I had become a nurse manager. I was excited. Things were going well. And I audibly heard God say to me, "Did you enjoy this?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm doing well. Things are going well." "What do you mean?" God said, "Did you enjoy this? Because your life is getting ready to change." And it changed. And it was about 10 years of just this tumultuous back and forth of me wrestling with the path that God had for me. The funny thing is, you can run from a whole lot of things and a whole lot of people. You can run from boss, tax collectors, boyfriends, wives, husbands, whatever, but you can't run from God.
That's so true.
And you can't run from the call that God puts on your life. And so I believe that everything that we go through in life prepares us. And so I think that I have a level of empathy and compassion that developed in my nursing career. And also because I worked with everyone from neonates to people in hospice care. And so I think that has also shaped my view of ministry to all of the generations. And so while I love to preach in Jordans and use hip-hop references and talk about Beyonce in sermons, I also understand the needs of senior citizens and the elderly and those who are dying, because that was actually the most recent demographic that I worked with before going into the pastorate. So I have a viewpoint of each group. So it prepared me in different ways.
That's awesome. How do you see your role in the community? Do you plan on having a role within the community?
Oh, I am prepared to be actively engaged in the community. Right now, I don't live in Gary, but I plan to move to Gary. And that's just because, moving, I had to kind of figure some things out from afar. But I plan on moving to Gary. I plan on being engaged in every level because I think that's a part of the role of the Black preacher is to be engaged. We don't, people will say that being involved in social justice is political and that churches and preachers shouldn't do that. But that's really antithetical to the gospel.
Yes.
Jesus quoted Luke 4, and when he quoted Isaiah in Luke 4:18, he said, "The Spirit of the Lord is upon me because he has anointed me to preach good news to the poor." And he goes on to talk about all these things that we should be doing. And so a part of the prophetic voice of the Black preacher is to speak to the issues of people. So I can't just preach about going to heaven and not deal with the hell we live in every day. So
I am so glad.
Awesome.
That is awesome. I'm so glad you talked about that because I was going to ask you, what did you think about being in a ministry and political? And I too believe that there is a place political for us. We belong, just like a person that don't believe belong.
yeah, and I mean, and again, if you study the Gospels, Jesus was brought up in an oppressive system. He was under Roman occupation. They tried to kill him because of where he was born, and he had to flee as an immigrant to another country. And he was brought up in an unjust criminal justice system, and he was killed for his beliefs. I mean, how much of that sounds like today?
Today. Yes.
And so when you really study scripture, you can't separate it.
No.
And what people will say things like, I don't look at race and God doesn't look at race. Well, then why did God make me Black? It's okay to be Black and Christian. It's okay to be proud of that. It's okay to be proud of being Scottish and Christian, or Latino and Christian or whatever. It's okay to be proud of who God created you to be because God created you that way.
Yes.
But we as Black people just have a whole different set of circumstances that we have to live in every day. And so I have to, as a preacher, I have to be able to address that and speak to that and help people learn how to live in this world while we all try to go to heaven. But we got to live every day here.
Every day here. And I'm glad you talked about that. We talk about that all the time. And we talk about it. It's sometimes just a heaviness that we see in things that are just not just the things that goes on.
And then there's something going around on the internet which really enrages me. Don't be so pro-Black that you're anti-Christ. And you really just address that in such a beautiful way because you can be both.
Yeah.
You do not have to make a choice because this is who you are. You can love Christ.
And I don't want to get too deep into that because I went to Virginia Union is a very social justice seminary. And so I can go all the way down that road. But what I will say is that to say, there's this whole movement to have us denounce our Blackness so that it is not looked at in the same regard as other groups, and that is not anything that's new. That's the same thing that has evolved, the same racism that has evolved that our ancestors dealt with when they weren't looked at as fully human, and so any belief that says you have to denounce who you are, that's not godly. We are made in the imago Dei, the image of God. And so that means me as a Black person, me as a Black woman, or however you are, however you were made is in the image of God. And so you don't have to denounce that part of you because if it didn't matter to God, then why would God create us this way? Why would God make me Black with a thick nose and woolly hair? Why would God make me this way? But and so you don't have to denounce that. And so that is that evangelical Christianity that really only props Jesus up as a mascot and not as a rabbi and not as a savior and not as a teacher. We just prop him up like we prop up other mascots.
Yes.
So your message is so fresh. I mean, it's almost unlike many things I've ever heard the pastor speaking. How are you meeting resistance to the freshness, the newness? Because this is almost revolutionary type. I love it.
If I am, I haven't seen it.
Okay.
And I've just learned not to pay attention to it.
Okay.
You know. Yeah.
Are you okay?
Yeah, it's very fresh and it's so needed.
Yes.
And thank you for standing on what you believe. We have a caller. Hi, caller.
Okay, I see.
How are you?
Okay, a bad man, a reputed man, doing wrong and think they doing right. Now, Sodom and Gomorrah, okay? Hello?
Yes.
I said Sodom and Gomorrah. I'm hanging up.
Okay.
Thank you,
Thank
Colin.
you.
So what about the youth? Okay, because it's so fresh and it's so new, are you pulling in the youth, or is that one of the goals? Because it's definitely a youthful message as well.
So what I love about First Baptist is it is the oldest church in Gary, and so many of the members can trace their family back generations. So they can say, my great grandmother was here, my grandmother was here. And so me being there, we're starting to see the children and the grandchildren come back to the church. And so I believe in intergenerational ministry, and I've been saying that, and I really believe that we have really caught hold of that at First Baptist. I love youth ministry and children's ministry and Children's Day and Youth Day, but I don't want youth and children only participating on Children's Day and Youth Day once a year, twice a year. I want them every Sunday. You know, that's a big deal for me, that you see youth and you see children participating every Sunday, because the church is equally theirs. Yes. And I think that that's something that we have to rethink about youth and children. And I think that's where a lot of churches get it wrong. Well, some, I can't say a lot because I don't know all churches, but some churches get it wrong there, where we only keep youth and children in certain pockets, and then we wonder why they don't want to come.
Yes, interesting.
So I believe, that anybody can serve anywhere at any time. Christ equally died for the children.
Yes.
Christ equally died for youth. Why do they only get to be seen certain times?
As we wrap this up, is there anything that you would like to share with our listeners?
Well, I want to say that I am glad to be here in Gary. I have definitely felt the love and the community since I've been here. I feel like I've been a part of the GI, as y'all say. The GI. I feel like I've been here for a long time, but I feel the community. I feel the love here, and I'm grateful to be here. I'm grateful to be a part of the story of Gary as it continues to evolve, because I see God showed me that God is going to revive the city of Gary, and I'm really honored that God would let me be a part of that, because it's a beautiful thing. And so First Baptist, if you're looking for a church, come see us, check us out, 10 a.m. on Sundays. I am the pastor. I'm probably one of the shortest people in the room, but also the loudest. I'm guaranteed probably the loudest person in the room. And this Saturday, I'm going to be preaching at Trinity Missionary Baptist Church at 7 p.m. for the Women's Month Revival. Last night I preached in Chicago for the simultaneous revival, and I was the first woman to preach for that.
Oh, awesome. So keep trailblazing.
Yes.
What is the address of First Baptist Church if they want to come and hear you?
Oh, yeah, 626 West 21st Avenue.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Yes,
Thank you
come
so
through.
much.
Thank you.
As we
for
wrap
having me.
this up, this came to mind. Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. And I thought about your 30 times.
That is so true.
And so thank you for
Thank
gracing
you.
us with
Thank
your
you.
presence. And we appreciate you
Thank you for
coming to
having me.
WLTH.
Thank you for having
And
me.
we're excited to see where God take you.
Yes, thank you so
All right.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.